to another episode of the Will and Rock MMA podcast.
What's up, everybody? We have only one news for this week.
A big one.
It's a big one. It's definitely a big one. It's so interesting because they re-signed Yair Rodriguez after cutting him with the whole situation of him not taking fights when they were giving him the options, right? So they gave him first Lamas. He declined that. Then they gave him Sabit. And he declined on that as well. So Dana White especially was over it, and he decided, we're going to cut this guy. And they just re-signed him, and he actually signed. Well, is it signed? It's not 100% signed, correct?
I think the agreement was if he comes back into the UFC, he needs to fight Sabit,
which I think is a tremendous fight. It's unfortunate that that's going to be his first fight coming back after such a big layoff.
Yeah.
But it's still something to really look forward to, and it's supposed to happen sometime in September. It's happening in Vegas.
September 8th in Las Vegas.
UFC 228, correct?
Yes, which is not that far away from now, which is a great thing for Yaris. I think it's a good fight for Yaris to come back to prove himself that he belongs in the UFC. But this is such a great opportunity for Sabit to come and really, really make a name for himself. I'm really looking forward to this fight. And they both have this way of fighting where it's like, it's a highlight reel waiting to happen.
Yeah,
we keep saying that.
I know. So
they both do those type of fighters. They're both very agile. They do crazy things. They take risks in the octagon. So this is why this is going to be an amazing fight.
I agree, man. I'm looking forward to that fight. So that's supposed to be happening in September again.
And one last thing, I think they both know going into this fight that they need to do something crazy.
Absolutely.
So this is what makes it this fight,
fun. It's going to be really fun.
Just talking about it makes me fucking.
But that's literally the only news we have for this week. So we're going to get directly into the UFC Fight Night 130. As we know, Darren Till and Stephen Thompson headlined this card. Today we get the results, and today we'll be taking shots. All right. So as we all know, we've done this plenty of times already. The first fight we had Eric Spicely versus Darren Stewart. That happened to end TKO in the first round with 1 minute and 47 seconds. Tremendous win by Darren Stewart, and the reason why Rocky's pouring a shot for himself is because he took the L. Go ahead, my brother. Good fight by Darren Stewart. He did a tremendous performance. Everybody has Spicely winning this fight, so a really interesting fight.
I took a L. I took a fucking L.
The next one was supposed to be Bermudez versus Grant. For some reason, that fight got scrapped. So so they completely got scrapped. So let's just go ahead and move forward to the next one. The next one was you got to do that again. Jason Knight was fighting against Amir Khani. We expected Jason Knight to come out with that victory, and unfortunately he did take a loss, and for that reason Rocky's taking the shot. Because
Knight, first of all, Knight, I had so much writing on you for this fight. I was looking forward to him fighting, and the fact that he ended up losing this fight, man, just drives me crazy. And fuck, you're fucking not worth a shot.
The next one we have Arnold Allen versus Mads Bernal, and finally you took that win. That happened. It was a submission in the first round. In the third round. Sorry. It's a rear naked choke. So for that reason, I'm pouring myself a shot because I took the L.
These are some of these cards, guys, just moving forward while Willie takes a shot. We're debating what we should do some of these cards. Some of these fighters we really don't know much about, and we feel like we have to rush these podcasts, and we really can't elaborate on some of these fighters. So there's a possibility that moving forward, when we have these UFC Fight Night cards where there's not many fighters that are really well known, or that we just don't know very well, there's a possibility we just might do a segment for this.
I do agree. The next card though is a must because that UFC
any pay-per-view event is a must, bro.
For the most part.
Trust you me, we're gonna be doing UFC pay-per-view events without a doubt.
For sure.
It's usually the UFC Fight Nights on FS1 or Fox. Like those are tough to some of these fighters are up and coming fighters that we don't know much about. They're trying to make the name for themselves.
For sure, yeah. The next one was Neil Magny. Great performance by Neil Magny.
I had a lot of fucking writing on Neil Magny, and he fucking pulled it off for me, bro. And that's one thing I must say. Magny needed this win so badly. Magny would have lost his fight. It's so sad to say. There's a possibility he might would have considered retirement. Holy shit.
I'm going to pour a little bit on yours.
No. How about you drink most of it and then leave me a little, and then, because I end up losing the next fight, I'll just put the rest in.
So, yeah, man, no. You know, it's crazy because when we were picking the fights, we were going back and forth, and I didn't want to lose that streak going down. I wanted somebody needed to take a shot because last time I felt like we won too many together because we knew that they were fights were most likely we're going to win.
But you still, I don't know if you recall the last podcast, you literally said you didn't think Magny was going to win this fight.
I would have picked Magny if you didn't pick Magny, right? But with that being said, I had a feeling, I wasn't mad at the fact that I picked Craig White because I felt like Magny's coming off of a loss, you know, he got really dismantled by RDS. So I really believe that Craig White was going to come in the victor, and unfortunately he didn't. You know, it's part of the game. But congratulations to Neil Magny, man. He's beat so many good people. That guy deserves something better.
Yeah. You know what? And then the next card, I'll just pour a little bit extra.
So the last fight, which was a very interesting fight, man. Very controversial. People felt like Stevenson Thompson won the fight. Some people say no, Darren Till won the fight.
I say call the fucking thing a draw. Call it a draw.
I agree. There's so much like who won this, who won that. Why don't we just call it a draw? If people would call it a draw, nobody would have been mad. But I gotta admit, in the CompuStrike's numbers, you could see that Darren Till landed more flush punches during the whole fight. And yes, it didn't look like it was a one-sided fight. For sure it wasn't. We really have to understand that this is so hard to fight a guy like Stevenson. It's why Woodley, you know, it's just a bad match with Woodley versus Thompson. It's going to be fighting for the third time eventually, I would like to think.
Who?
Woodley versus Stevenson.
I don't think, after this loss, I don't think.
And then Darren Till, you know, matched up pretty well with Stevenson, very similar as Woodley. So you're putting up Stevenson against some people that just, he doesn't seem to look good in these fights because they match up like very well. And it's unfortunate because Stevenson is a champion. But now he's coming off of a straight third loss. So I wonder how this whole thing is going to play out. I really do believe that if anybody won was Darren Till. But like you and I were just saying right now, I would have preferred them to just call it a draw.
When you're dealing with people's careers and see getting a loss for someone like Thompson, at this point in his career, sets him back a lot. I thought draw was the right way to go. Either way, didn't go his way. I ended up losing. I had Thompson win this fight. I thought experience was going to win this fight. Patience was going to win this fight. But the younger and hungrier guy, which we take nothing away from Darren Till. Holy shit, bro.
He's a motherfucker, that guy.
He is so relentless, and he is so hungry.
Yeah.
And he's so humble that makes him this crazy type of fighter. Some of these humble fighters
could not ask for a better time. Go for it. You could not ask for a better time for a guy like Darren Till to come into the UFC, especially with Bisping retiring now. They need somebody from Europe. We don't have anybody really from Europe, especially from the UK, to make a name for themselves. This is the guy that's going to give you a belt, and mark my words, it's going to be the toughest fight for Woodley. I really truly believe that, because Darren Till takes more risks and is a heavier puncher, not than Woodley, than Thompson. And for that reason, I believe that those two fighting, which I don't think he deserves immediately to go to Woodley.
I don't think he deserves Woodley right away.
I mean, if they give it to him, I'm not mad at it. But I do believe that GSE versus Colby Covington are the next people up for...
You mean RDS?
Oh, sorry, RDS. Yeah, Rafael Dos Anjos versus Colby Covington. Between those two should fight Darren Till, and that should make whether or not he should fight against Woodley.
I agree to disagree. For me, it only depends on how healthy Woodley is at this point, because Woodley's coming off an injury, successful surgery. Yeah. I don't want Woodley to stand around and wait for too long, man.
Yeah.
He's honestly, if we're talking about people who need to vacate their belt, we start looking at Woodley and going, damn, you haven't fought in a really fucking long time. So the UFC really needs to like step it up and go, okay, RDS is fighting versus Covington, make them fight. Depending on how that fight goes, give it a quick turnaround fight versus Darren Till, or just give Darren Till the fucking title fight. Keep Woodley busy. I don't see Woodley losing to Darren Till. I'm calling it now. I think we haven't fully seen. Everybody talks about how boring Woodley is. We haven't really seen him match up very well with someone like Thompson, who loves distance and is very patient.
We have to understand one thing, and I don't mean to cut you off. He had 2 fights versus Stephen Thompson, right? That they kind of match up way too well for it to become an exciting fight. And then you have a fight with Damian Maia, who Damian Maia could be either a really boring fight because he wants to take you down to the ground, or he'll give you an exciting, explosive fight by submitting you. He's not knocking you out. So you're giving people, Woodley fights that he's not going to perform to his potential. Now, before that, he was knocking people's faces off. So let's not forget about that. It's unfortunate the last 3 fights he hasn't been performing to what people expected him from prior fights. But that doesn't mean that he's not explosive.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at.
He's the most athletic freaking middleweight that there is right now. And I do believe that he could knock out Darren Till. I believe that he could beat Darren Till. And I think that will be the best match because Darren Till opens up a little bit more than any other fighter just to get that better shot. So I believe that that's going to be a better fight than any other fight that Woodley has taken.
That's a good call. And I will tell you that if Woodley... And this is just my predictions. If Woodley doesn't knock him out, he's going to grind him out. Because let's not forget how amazing of a wrestler Woodley is.
He really is.
It's unfortunate, like we said. It's unfortunate that the fact that he's been overlooked for a long time, even though he's a champion, just because he's really put up some boring fights. And there's no way to sugarcoat that.
Yeah.
I think Darren Till could open up that door for him. It could bring back that momentum for him, And then, putting him against RDS or putting him against Colby Covington. By the way, if we could talk a little bit about Colby Covington, because we do have the time. Colby Covington, someone needs to tell him to shut the fuck up. Bro, the things that come out of this guy's mouth are fucking so disrespectful.
But you have to understand, he doesn't have a track record to get him to the position that he is right now.
His mouth is going to get him there.
Well, no, his mouth got him where he is right now. He's fighting against RDS. Like, RDA. I keep saying RDS. I'm sorry.
Go home, Rafael dos Anjos.
Yeah, Rafael dos Anjos. Colby Covington's mouth has gotten to the position he is right now. I'm so intrigued of how Dos Anjos is gonna. Dos Anjos said, "Oh, you want to be like Conor McGregor? I'm gonna fuck you up." And I'm looking forward to seeing what Rafael Dos Anjos has to give Colby Covington.
If you guys haven't looked at Colby Covington's last comment,
yeah, he's
on some fucking crazy shit, bro. He said some Donald Trump grabbing pussies, and it's craziness, just absolute craziness. I really want, and this one thing that I like about Rafael dos Anjos, he goes, listen, I'm not going there to beat him. I'm going to make sure that he has respect for every single fighter he's going to fight after this. Yeah. He's going to teach him some respect.
He's talked too much shit about the Brazilian fans.
Oh, dude. Listen, I love it to an extent.
It reminds me of the whole Shell versus Anderson Silva.
It almost reminds me of Shell.
I think that fight is going to
be way more disrespectful.
Yeah.
Way more disrespectful.
That dude is going to need security out there.
All right, my people, man. We're pretty much all set.
Wrap this bitch up.
Catch us on YouTube on the Will and Rock MMA podcast. Catch us on Instagram on the Will and Rock MMA podcast. Catch us on Twitter on the Will and Rock MMA podcast. Or actually, on the Will and Rock podcast on Twitter. Thank you guys. We appreciate the love. Thanks for the support. Peace.